Hey guys, it's Brennan the Paleo Dude, and welcome back to another unboxing and review video. Today we'll be taking a look at the Habitat Defender Triceratops. Now this is very similar to the mosasaur in the last lineup that we had for Dominion and I think Dino Escape or Camp Cretaceous, where it's made out of bioeconomically like plastic, what is it? Plastic that would end up in the ocean, I think the last one was, and this one is ISCC certified plastic, 60%. So I think that's recycled plastic also. But yeah, no, it helps protect the environment and keep plastic out of waterways and stuff. So I think that's pretty neat that they use recycled material for this, and they're kind of implementing it into a gimmick where they're saying, oh yeah, if you buy it, you're helping clean up the world's wild spaces. So I think that's pretty neat, and I like that they have a little info box in green all about that. And then of course the standard back of the packaging, we got the dinosaur render, and you can see the little scan code thing, and what environment it's from, which is a desert. And of course the packaging is themed very nicely around that with the rocks and the kind of golden sky, as well as those little deserty plants and stuff back there. So I love it. Very cool. Of course, this is gigantic, as you all know, absolute monster of a Triceratops figure. We finally have that posable jaw that we did not get in the Hammond collection version, and the head is fully rotatable, of course. But yeah, when I first saw it, I kind of thought these little osteoderm-like skin armor plates were a bit too pink, but now the more I look at it, the less it stands out. And I also like that the underbelly is plastic and not painted, so that won't be getting scuffed. But I'm pretty sure, of course, the horns and the beak, those are painted, so those can get scuffed, along with the frill little spikes. And usually when I'm looking for a good figure, I make sure that there's no scuffing, because sometimes they rub on the top of the packaging and the paint comes off. So make sure you get a good figure, those aren't worn. Same with the tips of the horns, those can rub on other packagings and stuff. So look for the best one before you purchase it if you're one of those people. So let's see if this is a clean removal. I think we just slice that, and it should come out. There we go. No glue, thank goodness. It's always a hassle to deal with glue in these packagings. So let's see. I think we can just slide it out. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. It is stuck to the bottom. There is little things holding it in, little plastic nubs. So I'll actually cut this. Maybe it'll slide out now. No, I think it's glued in, potentially, or like a part of the package. So the best way we can remove this, unfortunately, they didn't add a cutaway part to like punch in and then rotate those. I do like this render on the bottom though, that's pretty neat. You can see with the Carnotaurus figure here, they've got that little flap you push in and pull, and it's like dotted. They don't have it with this figure, and it doesn't seem to want to pull out. I don't know if it's just mine, but we may need to do some surgery, or maybe I can fit my hand in there. You can see, I don't know if you can kind of see, there's two, one at the very front and one back here. So let's just hope for the best that I can kind of play around with that and see. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm able to. So, I don't know, do I want to ravage the package? Let's see, maybe, actually, yeah, why not? So what I'll do is I'll cut it here. There's a seam right there, and I'll just, now I don't recommend doing this. I don't know, usually if kids are unboxing, you don't want them to have knives, but I tend to like to keep the packaging intact. So this actually worked very well, just sawing this off with a serrated knife, and minimal damage to the packaging, at least visible. Like if I would want to put this on a shelf or something, it wouldn't really see it too much. So to rotate these, this is actually a challenge. I'm still not sure why they didn't put a little flap for people to use, but there we go. Got it all off. Actually, the tail you can access easily here too. Now I'll just put this back and maybe we can just pull it out. There we go. Oh my goodness, it's pretty heavy. Okay, yeet the packaging. And wow, oh wow, okay. Oh, the feet are a complete different plastic, and they're same color as the toes, but what they did is they had it a separate piece. It's pretty interesting. And then they cut away the toe holes so the nails are the same color. That's very smart. I love what they did there. So it wouldn't just be a single color like we see in older figures. That is very nice. I like that they're doing that now. Underbelly color stops here. It's kind of slightly rubbery. It's still hollow and hard, but this is more of like a plasticky plastic. This is more of like a harder plastic shell. They painted these little details on the thigh, which is insane. That's so crazy that they did that. They didn't do it on the front leg, of course, but they did it on the back, which is nice. Would have been neat if these were also that color. They didn't even get the little plates down here, but that's fine. I like that. That's pretty neat. It adds up to the overall detail of the figure, and big fan, again. More paint the better, but you can see the tail kind of is flat like that, and very thick, very short. Might be shorter than what we've seen before. We'll do a comparison real quick, but I think we just pop it in. It seems to be shaped a certain way though, so let's see. Just pop that in. There we go. And that is slightly rotatable. You can droop it down like it's dragging, or have it up. It's kind of hard to compare, but I think the tail on the original Jurassic World Triceratops is longer, but if we compare it to the Hammond collection, it seems to be this lower part seems to be the same mold, because you can see the wrinkles are the same, but I think it might be slightly shorter, because obviously they had to modify the last end to not be segmented. But it's not that noticeable, nor is it that big of a deal, because of course Triceratops doesn't have that long of a tail anyways. The posability is interesting. The back legs go forward and back, and they're on some sort of a, like, what do you call that, like a peg system, where it only can move to a certain peg, and then it stops and locks in place. But I think that's pretty neat. The forelimbs can't pull out. They can also only go forward and back, so the back legs and forelimbs can't spread like most Jurassic World figures can do. You can see back legs spread, forelegs spread, but this is a larger figure, way larger than the Stego, which also has that ability on both the limbs. And you can see here, it is huge in comparison to the Stegosaurus too. Like, even with the plates, they are roughly the same size. I think Stego may have like a few millimeters in height difference on the plates compared to the back. So it's slightly taller, but holy cow, giant. And the head is insanely large. If we compare it to the Pentaceratops head, you can see they're almost around the same size, but the proportions on the Pentaceratops are smaller, like the eye size, the horn thickness, etc. And then you can see from a side view, of course, it is far taller than the Pentaceratops, far longer as well. But of course, it's like a jumbo-sized figure. Now, this is a new size bracket, I'd say. Usually, you'd compare like the Stegosaurus and Pentaceratops to medium large, and then or Carnotaurus size is kind of medium-large, but you can see even compared to the Carnotaurus, it is a longer figure. It's around the same height, but the bulk itself is absolutely huge. Now, I wouldn't say that this falls under like the size category for, say, like the mosasaur or the brachiosaurs, but I definitely think this is a new size bracket that Mattel has created, and I'm not sure if we're going to see more figures in this size, or it might just be, of course, a one-off thing like the mosasaur, but it's, of course, under the size bracket of Tyrannosaur. You can see these guys work so well together in color, very nice natural browns, and the height difference is pretty decent. I mean, I've seen, of course you don't see Triceratops in the movies alongside Tyrannosaurus Rex, so it's hard to kind of gauge a size for them, but in the Telltale Jurassic Park game, we do actually get a fight between the two, and of course they look something like that. So it's not too, like, oddly different. When I first saw the Triceratops compared to the that desert T-Rex figure, it looked way too big. I was like, holy cow, okay, that's massive for a Triceratops. They might have gone overboard, but it is definitely not too big. My fears have been resolved now that I have it in person. Compared to a human figure from the same lineup in scale, you can see they stand right up to that shoulder there, but I think for recreating scenes and whatnot, let's see, it looks fairly alright. I mean, it still kind of looks, I want to say, too big, but I'd have to look more at the images of the actors standing next to the animatronic, but I think that's actually not too bad. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just jarring. I think it's because I'm not used to a Triceratops this big besides the Kenner one. Like, for our entire collecting careers in Jurassic World figures, Triceratops have been that small. So, like, I'm guessing I just got used to them being tiny, and now that we've got an actual normal-sized one, it's pretty odd, and definitely have to get used to it. Same with what happened to the Allosaurus. You can see we had a size update with the Allosaurus too, from its original counterpart being pretty small to this jumbo-sized, accurate scale Allosaurus, which is fantastic that Mattel's now correcting some of the sizes of their original figures and updating them. I think that's really nice and well worth the change. I think fans are really happy about that. I've seen a lot of positive feedback on Instagram and YouTube, so I'm also loving it. Really excited to see if they scale up any more figures. The rotation on the head, of course, is phenomenal too. With most of the Hammond collection figures, we've got head rotations like this, but mainline figures, it's hit or miss whether we get articulation like this, but I love it. It's fantastic. There's so much dynamic poses you can do with the head alone, and of course the mouth opening and closing is such a bonus. They did not need to do that. They rarely do that with their herbivore figures, especially from the main lines, but I think they heard a lot of the feedback from the Hammond collection trike not having that mouth articulation, so they had to put it in. Yeah, so fantastic paint job as well. The horns fully painted, beak, tongue, eye, even some darker brown around the eye, and of course very dark brown around the frill here. Little horns here are also painted. All the little armor plating and the skin is also painted, and then of course the underbelly has a different plastic. The chin is painted, and then, or kind of the throat area actually, and the feet and the toes have a different color plastic so that they didn't need to paint it, and that's another fantastic detail because toes tend to get scuffed the most, especially when you're taking figures out for photography or kids are playing with them. So having them a solid plastic means that they're not going to lose or chip off that paint. And compared to the original Triceratops, we'll quickly whip that guy out, it's actually larger, which is insane. And not longer, they're around the same length, but the head itself has a larger frill, larger horns, etc. But it's definitely a upgrade, of course, for accuracy, screen accuracy that is, and it's cool how they kind of added those little osteoderm things like the original Triceratops has on the thigh and the back. It's kind of a nice little callback to the original figure. Some of the Triceratopses that we have in the main line don't have them as prominent, but I really enjoy the fact they colored them. It may not be intentional, of course, but I enjoy that detail a lot because of it. We'll quickly finish off the video with a comparison to the vehicles. You can see that's how large it is in comparison to the Jeep. You can definitely have this guy ramming the Jeep with those big horns and the action feature of, it's not really an action feature, there's no button to activate that, but if you just pull back on the frill, it's the same vibe. And then of course the Ford Explorer, which is decent. It's not too dwarfed. Triceratops, of course, is far taller than it, which is crazy to think about. If you were ever to see this on screen, that would be pretty nuts. It's kind of towering over the Ford Explorer. And then compared to Kenner, it definitely fits in well with the Kenner figures. I think it's definitely a great stand-in for photography and whatnot. And then these little guys, real quick. Tiny, dwarfed. Actually, this is not that bad. Here's a Gallimimus. Gallimimus could be bigger, of course, but they had to fit it into the box size. That's another figure I'm hoping that they will update the size to. But it seems so close, yet so far away to the original height that I don't think they will, but I have hope. And then, of course, the Dilophosaurus and the Velociraptor are actually pretty decent in comparison. Like, they're big, but they're not like tiny, so I think that's pretty nice as well. And it would be sick to do a pack of raptors attacking a trike. That'd be a really nice photo shoot down the line. Maybe I'll use the original raptors because I don't have enough of these guys. I'll have to place an order on Amazon or that Entertainment Earth. Anyways, yeah, so this Triceratops is literally the best Triceratops figure we have gotten so far. It is fantastic. It looks great with everything. Looks great with the brachio. Looks great with the original figures, the new figures. Perfect predecessor to the original Kenner Triceratops. Hopefully, potentially, we will get a recolor of this Triceratops in the 93 Classic line if they continue with those figures. That would be insane. That would be absolutely peak, but I think this one is so close anyways that they will probably just leave it, and of course we can just use it as a stand-in for that lineup. But yeah, no, that's my thoughts on the figures. I'm so glad to finally have it. I'm probably gonna get a second one. I'll do another comparison video later down the road with this guy and a lot of the older figures and the rest of the Triceratops lineup, so be sure to check out that. And I've got a lot more unboxings on the way, so definitely subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.